Hello, welcome to April favourites. Mental, absolutely mental. For those of you who are new, every month I sort of wrap up everything I've seen, read, consumed, whatever, and I review it and talk about what I liked and what I didn't and what I would recommend, etc, etc. April was a mental month, absolutely mental, and I'm so excited to share everything with you. There's so much. I'm so excited. First of all, I've just got one movie, and that's Turtles All the Way Down. This has been on my list to watch since it came out, but because I think it was HBO or one of those streaming platforms that I don't have, it took me a while to be able to watch it somewhere, but I've been able to, and I've really enjoyed it. I read the book like the month it came out, I think. I think it was October 2017, I want to say. Give me a second. October 2017, 10th of October, because I got it for my birthday that year. And at the time, I absolutely devoured the book, and I really related to the main character, even though I'm not OCD. But when they announced they were making a movie, I've loved all of John Green's books and then also the movie adaptation, so I was very excited for it. And it was very well done, and I had forgotten a lot about it as well. There were very few points, except like me relating to the main character, that I remembered. And the cast was fantastic. It was just a very good watch. I really enjoyed it. Hey, I put this on mute. Then I've just got one TV show, and that's Nobody Wants This. This was recommended to me by lots of family members, and some people said they really enjoyed it, of the family members, and some said they really didn't. But I was curious, and I watched it. We watched it with Wayne, and it was silly. I didn't love the way they represented Jews, and what's interesting about that is I believe the author is married to someone Jewish, and a lot of the experience is her own, or at least a lot of sort of what she's depicted. And that's very possible, and it's very probable because there are so many different streams of Judaism. I find it hard that there's very few, I've spoken about this a lot, maybe not on the channel, but there's very few sort of middle ground, or there's very little middle ground Jewish representation, I find. You either get basically secular, which is like Ross and Monica from Friends, or even this one I would say is on the verge of that. Yeah, he's a rabbi, but still. Or you get like ultra-Orthodox. I can't even think of any examples, but you don't get any in between, like unorthodox. And I fall in that in-between category, and so many people I know fall into that in-between category, and I just feel like it's not represented enough, but that's a separate issue. I did enjoy this show. Just don't use it as like an understanding for Judaism, because it's not totally. Onto books, and I've just seen the number. I knew it was a lot, but it's 13. 1-3. Insane. What a month. That's crazy. That's like 3 books per week. Insane. Gosh, it's been a while since I've read like that. I did come out of like a bit of a reading slump that I had sort of at the end of February, start of March, and then in March I read Sunrise on the Reaping as well as a couple of others that just really lifted me up. So we were on a good roll, and obviously that's continued. And ebooks at work have really been game-changing. So the first book I read was a non-fiction. It was called Beyond the Wand, and it's by Tom Felton. And when it initially came out, I was not that interested because it was just, I don't know, like I like Tom Felton, but I felt like it was too early, I think. I felt like it's not been that long since Harry Potter, like what is he going to write about? And then I think Sam mentioned it over, not on the Dear Hopefuls channel, but I know her from the Dear Hopefuls channel. And she said she really enjoyed it and said that it was a lot about sort of his experience on the set of Harry Potter, or maybe I just read that when I was looking it up, I don't know. But that obviously was something that I was interested in because I am an actress and want to work in film and whatever. And so I love hearing about backstage experiences. And I really enjoyed it. I liked the writing style. It was very easy to read. I sort of flew through it. It was super bite-sized. Like each chapter was very, very easy to enjoy. I don't know. And when I was reading the reviews for this book, I saw a few comments saying that it was a bit too Harry Potter focused, but that's kind of what I want. I think it would have been worse if it hadn't been so Harry Potter, or not worse, but like less up my street, because I love Harry Potter and I just enjoyed hearing about his time on the set, and also what happened before, because I didn't know about his life before, and also what he went through after and sort of how he moved on from Harry Potter, especially because Tom Felton, I would say out of all the cast, is the one who is most sort of still holding on to his Harry Potter days, and not that I'm judging him because I would be exactly the same. But it was interesting to see all these other things that he actually had done in the meantime that I didn't know about. The next book was another non-fiction, but in a totally different vein and very hard-hitting, but so good and so important to read. I so highly recommend this book. It's, oh my goodness, eye-opening and important. And the book is called Desert Flower, and it's by Waris Deary, and she was raised in Somalia and then moved to the UK. I'm not quite sure at what age, but at some age, and made a life for herself here as a model. And it's such a powerful book. And yeah, I really, really want everyone to read this over the age of, like, I don't know, 15 maybe. Like, I do think there needs to be an age rating on this book, but I really highly recommend it. Next, we went back to Taylor Jenkins Reid. I read a couple of her books, I think last year. Yeah, I think it was like October, November time, in part for the Dear Hopefuls channel, and this one was also for the Dear Hopefuls channel. And first of all, it was just really fun all reading it together because, you know, you get to talk about different things. And it was only in this book that we started to realise that all the books are set in the same world, and there's always some fun in that. And it made me go back to, like, Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and even I think Daisy Jones as well, and just, like, find out why I knew these names. I don't think I loved this one as much as the other two. It didn't feel like it had as much to tell, I guess. It didn't feel as important, but I still really enjoyed it. I really like her writing style. I really like her characters. I really enjoyed it. Next, non-fiction again. This book is Gay by Juno Dawson, and this one I had been hesitant about, and I think it was just on my to-read list, and I'm really trying to work through my to-read list. And it was short, and it was an ebook, so I could read it while at work, and so I thought, why not? And my thoughts on this book were, it was okay. I didn't love it. It was a bit too childish for me, but it's the kind of book I'm so happy exists, and I want it to be in school libraries. I want school kids to be able to read this book, you know, from the age of, I would say, like 12, 13. And I think maybe not everything. There are definitely some bits that are maybe a bit more adult, but I just think there's so much in there that's so important for kids to hear. And I do also think it's more written for, like, young adults rather than adult. Ugh, I don't want to call myself that, but I am really glad the book exists. And I'm glad I'm aware of it and have read it, and, you know, if I'm ever surrounded by teenagers, I can suggest it. Next, an audiobook called The Bridge of Clay by Marcus Zusak. And this one is an interesting one because I loved The Book Thief, and then I also read I Am the Messenger by Marcus Zusak as well, and I did really enjoy that one as well. The Book Thief is probably one of my top all-time books, and I read it over and over again, and I had the audiobook and I would, like, fall asleep listening to the audiobook. I love this book. And I'd seen Bridge of Clay a number of times as, like, a potential book to read that's by the same author. And all the time I was just like, I don't know, maybe because it was so big, I don't know, but there was just something about it that made me think, it's not that interesting to me. It doesn't make me want to grab it. But my grandma read it not that long ago, and she said it was good. So I thought, why not? And honestly, it was just a little bit disappointing for me. It didn't quite hit the mark. And I got it was an audiobook, so again, sometimes I, you know, lose track of things more easily when it's an audiobook, but there were a lot of time jumps that really confused me, and there were characters that I was getting confused by, and it just didn't really feel like it had much of a point, the book. So yeah, I'm gonna say it wasn't my favorite. It's not that I disliked it, it just wasn't my favorite. Then I read another non-fiction, which was Inferior by Angela Saini? I'm not sure. And I went into this book with a very different expectation of what I thought it was as opposed to what it actually was. But it was interesting, it just wasn't what I was expecting. But it was also very sciencey and very sort of, not convoluted necessarily, but like very, like an overload of information. And not even that, because I don't mind that, but like you really had to focus while reading it. You could, like, it was, I don't know what the word for it is, like quite a high level, I would say. And I feel like really what she should do is publish a pared down version of it that is more accessible to the general public. I was able to read it. It was just more of an effort than I was hoping for. Also, bearing in mind this was book number 6 already, so like I'd probably read quite a lot in a very short amount of time and was just trying to get through books. But I did enjoy it, and I did think it was interesting, and I do recommend it because, I mean, I'm a feminist, and I just think this is an important read, especially in this day and age. Next, a fiction called All the Missing Girls by Megan Miranda. This one was very middle ground. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't rubbish. And I didn't realize at some point in the book the time starts going backwards, and I didn't realize that until I think I was reading a review and I saw something about, oh, the backwards bit or whatever, and then I noticed it. Again, this was an audiobook, and I noticed the narrator saying something like whatever it was like 7 days minus, and then the next chapter was 8 days minus or whatever, and that really confused me, and I really struggled to picture it. Like I couldn't work the story out going backwards. That didn't make sense to me. But then also, because I was confused by that, the reveal that eventually did come was just not, it didn't feel very powerful. It didn't excite me. It wasn't, it wasn't like a really satisfying reveal for me. So again, another middle ground book, I would say, for this one. But then I read another book that went backwards in time, and again, I didn't really realize this, but as in that was not intentional, but it was called Wrong Place, Wrong Time by Gillian McAllister. And in this one, I really enjoyed the going backwards in time, but that's because in the other book, we were going back in time, but the characters weren't, whereas in this one, the character does. And that was so interesting, and it just like, it really got me, and like figuring out the puzzle pieces along the way, but also just like the action of a character going back to experience a past day. I've spoken so many times about how much I would love to do that for my own life. And so kind of getting to do it vicariously, I just loved. The only thing I will say about this book is that even once we got to the end and sort of had a reveal, I was still not 100% sure about all the different components, because there were like lots of different bits and characters, and I don't think I got the full effect of the resolution. But there was one thing that was revealed that I knew early on. I'd spotted it, and I thought to myself, this could be possible. The only reason I don't think it can is because... And then in the end I was right. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil it. Now another non-fiction called The Art of Travel by Alain de Botton. I don't know. And this book was interesting. It did have some like history bits that I enjoyed, but the language was just incredibly flowery, and I understand why that's necessary for a travel book, but it just wasn't up my street. It's not something that I enjoyed. But on the flip side, he did say some things or write some things that I really resonated with, that I hadn't seen written down before, so I did enjoy reading that. It was just, again, this was a very short book, but it felt like an effort to get through, even though there were bits that were interesting and that I did resonate with. So there you go. Next, another sort of mystery, which was Tell No One by Harlan Coben. This one was good, but again, there were sort of 3 different sets of characters, and I was really losing track of who was who and who belonged in what group and what their significance was. And again, this was an audiobook, so it did just make it that little bit harder, because I wasn't fully understanding everything, but I did enjoy it. The next one I read is one that I've heard about for a long time and just kept putting off because I don't know, there's something about it. I think it's because I really don't like self-help books, I've discovered. But my aunt had read this book and just gave it 10 out of 10, so I was curious, and like the way she reviewed it as well made me very interested. So the book is called How to Keep House While Drowning by Casey Davis, and it is a self-help book, and I did struggle with that, especially because a lot of the tips that she was writing about and a lot of the things she was suggesting or saying, I already do. And I don't like saying that because it makes me seem like, oh, I'm superior and whatever, but it wasn't a super helpful book for me, but I can see why it would be a really useful book for a lot of people, especially people who are neurodivergent. And it was a very easy read, and I really do think there's value to it. I don't feel like I got anything out of it necessarily. Now the next one doesn't really count as a book because it's literally like 1 page, but it had been on my Storygraph and Goodreads to read list for so long, and I just wanted to clear it because I've really been trying to clear my to read list. And so I found it online and just read the 2 pages and ticked it off, and that was Harry Potter the Prequel by J.K. Rowling. Now, we're not going to talk about J.K. Rowling, but the short 1 page book was fine. It was not actually as satisfying as I would want a prequel to be, but it was fine. And the last book I read, another short one, was Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck. Now the version I had, it was an ebook, and it started with about 15 pages of introduction, not by John Steinbeck, but about sort of him and his life. And theoretically, that bit was interesting, but it kind of spoiled some stuff from the book. It was like the introduction it should have been put after the book. And it really just bothered me because I like, it didn't get me started into this book feeling good. Whereas if it had been at the end, I would have been interested and wanting to know. I don't know. But aside from that, I did really enjoy the book. It was sad and sweet and very easy. Well, not necessarily very easy to read, but short, which made it easier to read. I actually don't think it was that easy to read, especially because it didn't have any like chapters or breaks, so you couldn't stop anywhere. But I did enjoy it. Alright, well done everyone, we've made it through. Now we've just got 3 musicals left and one other thing, and that's it. So the 3 musicals, number 1 is Cinderella's Castle by Star Kid. I have watched Star Kid for at least 10 years, potentially more, and I watch all their shows, and they recently released Cinderella's Castle, and it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. The music was great, the costumes were fantastic. It was really good quality. It's on YouTube for free, so go watch it. Then, not quite a musical, but a concert, I went to see I Can't Believe It's Been a Little Less Than a Year by Star Kid, or, a Star Kid concert, which meant I got to see them live on stage singing songs that I have heard for over 10 years on a computer screen in terrible quality most of the time. The quality's got better over the years, to be fair, but definitely those first few, not great. I've spoken about this in my vlog, I think, but this was so good. So fun, so cool, because it was like, just hearing all these songs, and it was such an experience. It was amazing, and I'm so glad I went, because I wasn't going to go, and then Wayne got tickets, and I'm just very glad he did. And then I went to see Here We Are, the new and final Sondheim musical. This one was strange, really weird. I enjoyed it because it was just the right kind of strange for me, but it was really odd, and it was very Sondheim, which I loved, and it was very cool just to see a Sondheim piece, and the cast, was also phenomenal. So yeah, I really did enjoy it, but it was really weird, and it wasn't perfect, and it was unfinished. You could feel that it was unfinished, but it was unfinished. Moving on to fashion, I've got an outfit, which is strange, but the thing is, I think I spoke about this in my vlog, but it's an outfit that I cannot believe I've never put together before, ever. And it is my watermelon sort of flowy top with my green skirts. Why have I never paired that together? I don't know, but I wore it the other day and it made me very happy. So then, just to finish off, I've got my song of the month. Every month I wrap up with a song that either feels it describes the month, or I've heard it a lot, or I've sung it a lot, or whatever else. And in this month, the song is Oya Lele by Kadri. Oya Lele, ik voel me plots weer zo oya lele. Doe het nog één keer zo, oh ja, lele. Zing met ons mee, oh ja, oh yeah. My camera's gonna die, so I'm gonna go. Bye! Let me know if you had any favorites down below. Yay!